thunder crashes. Heavy rain falls. Dramatic orchestral music begins. Calm, cinematic. They called her a thief, a fraud, and said she never deserved the scholarship. But what happened next shocked an entire university. A young woman sprinted across the rain-soaked campus of Hanul University, clutching a small black flash drive against her chest. Her shoes splashed through puddles. Her breathing was ragged. Behind her, security guards shouted, "Stop her! Don't let her leave the campus." Students stepped aside in confusion. Isn't that the Nigerian student? What did she do? I heard she stole confidential research. Oriolua Adebayo's eyes filled with tears. No, they're lying. She reached the main courtyard. A black luxury sedan screeched to a stop, blocking her path. The driver's door slowly opened. A tall young man stepped out, perfectly dressed despite the storm. His face showed no fear, only determination. It was Kang Min-jae, the heir to Korea's biggest AI company, the boy who was once her greatest rival, and now the only person standing between her and the truth. He looked at the flash drive in her hand, then into her eyes. "Ore, if you hand that over, everything changes." Or tightened her grip. A tear rolled down her cheek. "I have to." The screen faded to black. 3 months earlier. The warm Lagos sun shone over busy streets filled with yellow buses. Traders calling customers, children laughing on their way to school, and the smell of fresh akara drifting through the air. Inside a neat family home, a loud buzzing sound echoed from an upstairs bedroom. Ah, a tiny homemade robot rolled off a desk and crashed onto the floor. 98, 99, 100 failed attempts. 19-year-old Oriolua Adebayo sighed before picking it up. Instead of getting angry, she smiled. 100 failures means I'm one step closer to success. She tightened another wire, restarted the program, pressed enter. The robot blinked. It rolled forward, stopped, then lifted one tiny arm. Or's face lit up. Yes. She jumped around the room in excitement. Downstairs, her younger brother Tunde looked toward the ceiling. There she goes again. Their mother laughed. That means another invention survived. Seconds later, Or rushed downstairs carrying the little robot. "Mum, Dad, look." The robot slowly waved. Tunde stared at it. "It can wave." Or nodded proudly. "Next month it'll speak." Tunde looked nervous. "Please don't teach it my secrets." Everyone burst into laughter. During breakfast, Mr. Adebayo noticed something unusual. Or wasn't talking. She kept scrolling through research articles on her tablet. He smiled. "Let me guess. Artificial intelligence again?" Or looked up sheepishly. "I was reading about a Korean university." "Korean?" her mother asked. Or nodded. "They're developing AI systems that help hospitals diagnose illnesses faster." Her father listened carefully. She continued. "I want to build technology like that someday." Silence filled the dining table. Then Mr. Adebayo smiled. "You've talked about this dream for years." Or nodded. "I know. But sometimes it feels too far away." Her father leaned forward. "When I started my engineering company, people laughed. They said someone like me could never compete with international companies." He smiled gently. "Dreams don't become impossible because they're big. They become impossible when we stop chasing them." Those words stayed with Ore. 1 month later, Lagos hosted the West Africa Future Technology Expo. Thousands of students, inventors, engineers, and investors gathered from around the world. Or volunteered as one of the event guides. Around noon, she noticed a young woman spinning around in circles while staring at a map. She looked left, then right, then sighed dramatically, or walked over. "Excuse me." The girl looked relieved. "Oh, thank goodness. I think I'm lost." Or smiled. "Can I see your map?" The girl handed it over. Or couldn't stop herself from laughing. "It's upside down." The stranger froze. "Seriously?" Or nodded. The girl covered her face. "I've been walking around with it upside down for 20 minutes. I'm afraid so." Both girls burst into laughter. "I'm Choi Yena." "I'm Ore." They shook hands. Neither realized this simple meeting would change both of their lives forever. Over the next few days, Yena's parents attended business meetings across Lagos, leaving her with free afternoons. Or volunteered to show her around the city. They visited beaches, art galleries, museums, street markets. They laughed over language differences. Yena tried bargaining in a local market and accidentally offered to pay more instead of less. The traders laughed so hard they gave her a discount anyway. Then came the food. Ora handed Yena a plate of jollof rice, fried chicken, and sweet fried plantain. Yena took one bite. She closed her eyes. "Oh, my goodness." Or smiled. "You like it?" "I love it." Then Or handed her a small bowl of pepper sauce. "Try this." Yena dipped one piece of chicken into it. 3 seconds later, she grabbed a bottle of water. "My mouth is on fire." Or laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. "You said you wanted authentic Nigerian food. I didn't know authentic meant surviving a fire." Both girls laughed until tears rolled down their cheeks. From that day on, Yena developed one hilarious habit. Every meal ended with the same question. "Can we add plantain?" Or eventually joked, "If you keep eating this much plantain, I'm going to start charging you." Yena grinned. "Worth it." One evening, the two friends sat quietly on the beach watching the sunset paint the Atlantic Ocean in shades of orange and gold. After several minutes, Yena finally asked, "Oh, if money wasn't a problem, and you could study anywhere in the world, where would you go?" Or didn't hesitate. "South Korea." Yena looked surprised. "Really?" Or nodded. "I spent years reading papers written by Korean AI researchers. I want to learn from the best, then come back and build technology that helps millions of people in Africa." Yena smiled. "I hope that dream comes true." Neither of them knew. It would happen much sooner than either expected. Sometimes, the people who change your life don't arrive with a grand entrance. Sometimes, they simply ask for directions. Like before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, subscribe to Africoda Studios, leave a like, and tell us in the comments. If you could study in any country, which would you choose and why? The night after Yena returned to South Korea, or stood on the balcony of her family's house in Lagos. The city lights stretched into the distance. Her phone vibrated. "Yena, I already miss Nigeria." Or smiled. "You miss Nigeria? Or you miss plantain?" A reply came almost instantly. "Both, but mostly plantain." Or laughed out loud. From that night onward, the two girls spoke almost every day. Sometimes they studied together through video calls. Sometimes they exchanged recipes. Sometimes they simply laughed over their cultural differences. One evening, Yena tried teaching Ore's simple Korean phrases, or struggled to pronounce them. Yena laughed so hard she nearly dropped her phone. A few minutes later, Or taught Yena a few Yoruba greetings. It was Yena's turn to struggle. Both girls agreed on one thing. Learning another language was much harder than they imagined. Months passed. Ora's final year examination results were released. She graduated as one of the best students in her department. Her parents were overjoyed. That evening, Mr. Adebayo organized a small family dinner. As everyone celebrated, Ori quietly stared at her laptop. She was smiling. But something still felt incomplete. Her mother noticed. "You're thinking about Korea again, aren't you?" Or nodded. "I just wish there was one opportunity, one chance." Her father gently replied, "When the opportunity comes, I hope you're prepared." 3 days later, Or was helping her father organize engineering documents when her phone vibrated repeatedly. It was Yena. 5 missed calls, 10 messages. Or answered immediately. "Yena, what's wrong?" On the other end, Yena sounded breathless. "Or, you have to open your email right now." Or frowned. "My email? No. First, go to Hanel University's website." Or opened her laptop. Her fingers trembled as she typed. The homepage loaded. A large banner filled the screen. Hanul University Global Excellence. Scholarship, one fully funded international scholarship. Artificial intelligence and robotics, one student. One dream, one opportunity. Or's heartbeat became louder. She kept reading. Full tuition, accommodation, monthly allowance, research funding, international internship opportunities. She whispered, "This can't be real." Yena laughed. "It is real. And you're applying." More than 12,000 expected applicants worldwide. Her excitement faded. "I don't stand a chance." Yena became serious. Or, "Look at me." Or looked at the screen. "You spent years preparing for this, without even knowing it." Silence. Then Yena smiled. "I believe in you." For the first time that day, Or smiled too. That evening, Or showed the scholarship to her parents. Her mother read every line carefully. Her father remained unusually quiet. Finally, he looked at Ore. "Do you know what this means?" She nodded. "If I get it, my life changes forever." He smiled. "No. It means your work starts now." The next morning, Or transformed her bedroom into a study headquarters. A large whiteboard covered one wall. She wrote the scholarship deadline in bright red marker. Then she divided the remaining weeks into daily goals. Programming, mathematics, AI research, interview practice, English presentations, leadership essays. Every single day had a purpose. A montage followed, the alarm ringing at 4:30 a.m., or reading before sunrise, coding until her fingers ached, practicing interviews in front of a mirror, building an AI learning assistant for children in underserved communities, failing, improving, trying again. One night, her laptop suddenly crashed. The project she'd been working on for weeks disappeared. She stared at the blank screen. Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't save it." Hours of work, gone. She buried her face in her hands. Mr. Adebayo quietly entered the room. Without saying a word, he sat beside her. After a long silence, he spoke. "Do you know how many bridges collapse before engineers learn to build stronger ones?" Ora wiped away her tears. He smiled gently. "Start again." She looked at the broken laptop, then slowly nodded. "Okay." That night, she rebuilt everything, even better than before. Weeks later, the online assessment day finally arrived. Thousands of students logged in from every continent. A countdown appeared. 10, 9, 8. Ori closed her eyes. She whispered a short prayer. Then the examination began. The first questions were manageable. The second section was brutal. Halfway through, many applicants disconnected from the live discussion forum. Comments flooded the screen. This is impossible. I'm giving up. Question 5 is insane. Or ignored every message. She focused only on her screen. One problem, one solution, one step at a time, with just 30 seconds remaining. She submitted her final answer, then leaned back. Her heart pounded. Whatever happened next, she had given everything she had. Ori believed the hardest part was over. She had no idea the interview would test more than her intelligence. Comment if you're enjoying this story. Subscribe to Afrikoro Studios, like the video, and tell us in the comments, if you were applying for this scholarship, what would be your biggest challenge? Leaving home, the exams, or starting a new life in another country? The days that followed felt like months. Every time Or's phone vibrated, her heart skipped a beat. Every email notification made her stop whatever she was doing. But none of them were from Hanul University. One evening, while helping her mother arrange books in the school library, her phone rang. The caller ID read, Hanul University, South Korea. Her hands immediately became sweaty. She answered, Hello, this is Oreoluwa Adebayo speaking. A calm voice replied, Good afternoon, Miss Adebayo. This is Professor Kim Ji-hoon from Hanul University. Ore held her breath. After reviewing your academic records, portfolio, and examination results, we would like to invite you to the final interview. Ore's eyes widened. The final interview? Yes. You are among the last 20 applicants. The world around her seemed to stop. She thanked the professor repeatedly before ending the call. Then she screamed, Mom! Her mother rushed into the room. What happened? Ore couldn't even speak. She simply hugged her mother tightly. I made the final 20. Her mother smiled with tears in her eyes. I knew you would. The interview took place online 3 days later. On the screen sat 5 professors from different departments. Their expressions were serious. Professor Kim smiled politely. Miss Adebayo, please introduce yourself. Ore took a deep breath. My name is Oreoluwa Adebayo from Lagos, Nigeria. I believe technology should not only solve problems, it should create opportunities for people who have been left behind. One professor adjusted his glasses. Interesting. Another asked, Why South Korea? Ore smiled. Because South Korea transformed itself through education, innovation, and determination. I want to learn from that environment.
And one day, bring those lessons back to Africa. The professors exchanged glances. A female professor asked the final question. What if you fail? The room became silent. Ore answered without hesitation. I'll be disappointed. But disappointment is temporary. Giving up is permanent, Professor Kim smiled. Thank you, Miss Adebayo. The interview is over. The waiting began. 1 week, then 2. Ore tried distracting herself by continuing her AI project. But deep down, she couldn't stop wondering, had she done enough? Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, at Hanul University, students gathered around a large digital notice board. A message appeared. Global Excellence Scholarship, winner announcement. The entire campus buzzed with excitement. Yena squeezed through the crowd. Come on, come on! The screen refreshed. Then, a photograph appeared. Below it were the words, Congratulations, Oreoluwa. Adebayo, Federal Republic of Nigeria, recipient of the 2026 Global Excellence Scholarship. Yena screamed so loudly that everyone turned toward her. She did it! She immediately grabbed her phone. Back in Lagos, Ore sat quietly in her room, trying not to think about the scholarship. Her phone suddenly exploded with notifications, message after message, calls, emails. She frowned. What is happening? Then, a video call from Yena. Ore answered. Yena was crying. You won! Ore blinked. What? You won! No, you're joking. Yena turned the camera toward the university announcement screen. Ore stared at her own picture. Her knees became weak. I actually won. Seconds later, an official email arrived. Congratulations, Miss Oreoluwa Adebayo. She never finished reading. She burst into tears. Her parents rushed into the room. What happened? Ore looked at them. I'm going to Korea. Silence. Then her mother hugged her tightly. Her father smiled proudly. I told you. Dreams reward those who prepare. Within hours, news spread across Nigeria. Television stations reported the story. Technology blogs shared articles. Local newspapers called her the Nigerian student who conquered Korea's toughest scholarship. Ore felt overwhelmed. She wasn't chasing fame. She simply wanted to learn. 3 weeks later, Murtala Muhammad International Airport. The departure board flashed. Seoul. Boarding Ore hugged her parents. Her mother whispered, no matter how far you travel, you'll always have a home. Her father handed her a small leather journal. When life becomes difficult, write. One day you'll read these pages and remember how strong you really are. Tunda handed her a carefully wrapped package. Don't open it until you're on the plane, Ore smiled. I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. But bring me Korean snacks. Everyone laughed through their tears. 18 hours later, the plane landed at Incheon International Airport. Ore stepped outside. Cold autumn air brushed against her face. She looked around in amazement. So, this is South Korea. As she walked through the arrivals hall, a familiar voice shouted, Ore! She turned. Yena came running. The two friends hugged tightly. You actually came. I told you I would, Yena laughed. And I told you. We'd eat plantain again someday. Ore burst into laughter. I don't think that's easy to find here, Yena grinned. We'll solve that problem later. As they walked toward the airport exit, neither of them noticed a group of university students nearby, watching the news on a large screen. Ore's face appeared in the report. One student pointed. That's her, the Nigerian scholarship student. Another folded his arms. I've heard she's a genius. A third student smiled. I wonder if she really is. Among them stood a tall young man wearing headphones. He looked at the screen for only a second before quietly walking away. His name was Kang Min-jae. He had no idea that the girl everyone was talking about was about to change his life forever. Generator. Sometimes the biggest journey of your life begins the moment you step off a plane. But Ore had no idea that her greatest challenge wasn't getting into Korea. It was proving she belonged there. If you're enjoying this movie, don't forget to like, subscribe to Africora Studios, and comment below. What do you think Ore's biggest challenge in Korea will be? Making friends, adapting to the culture, or proving herself academically? The drive from Incheon Airport to Seoul felt like stepping into another world. Ore sat quietly by the window, taking in everything she could see. The clean roads, the fast trains gliding past, the glowing skyscrapers, the neatly arranged streets. It feels like I'm dreaming, she whispered. Yena smiled. Wait until you see the campus. 30 minutes later, a magnificent stone gate came into view. Across the top, in bold letters, were the words, Hanyul University. Ori's eyes widened. Students from different countries walked across the campus, carrying laptops and books. A large fountain stood in the center. Autumn leaves drifted gently through the air. It looks like a movie set, Ori said. Yena laughed. Welcome to your new home. The dormitory room was bright and comfortable. On the desk sat 2 tiny flags, one Korean, one Nigerian. Ori stopped walking. You did this? Yena smiled shyly. I wanted you to feel at home. Ori hugged her tightly. Thank you. That evening, Yena insisted they explore the campus. As they walked, several students looked toward Ori. Some smiled, others whispered. A few secretly took photos, or noticed. Why is everyone staring? Yena hesitated. The university posted your scholarship story online. They've never had a Nigerian student win the Global Excellence Scholarship, Ori sighed. I hope they're just curious. I hope so too. The next morning, the entire freshman class gathered inside the university auditorium. Professor Kim stepped onto the stage. Welcome to Hanyul University. He spoke about discipline, innovation, leadership. Then he smiled. This year, we are honored to welcome one exceptional international scholar, Miss Oreoluwa Adebayo from Nigeria. The audience applauded. Ore stood and bowed politely. Most students smiled, but one girl remained seated. Her name was Han Soo-jin, top student, student council president. For 3 years, she had been known as the university's brightest AI student. Now, everyone was talking about someone else. She folded her arms. So, she's the famous scholarship girl. After the ceremony, Ore accidentally dropped her notebook. Before she could pick it up, someone reached down first. Here, she looked up. Standing in front of her was a tall young man with calm eyes and a confident smile. It was Kang Min-jae. Thank you, Ore said. No problem. He handed back the notebook and started walking away. Yena hurried over. Do you know who that is? Ore shook her head. No, that's Kang Min-jae, the son of Kang Hyun-woo, the CEO of Kang Tech Industries. Ore blinked. The AI company? The biggest AI company in Korea. Ore looked back at him. He seems normal. Yena laughed. That's because you've only met him for 10 seconds. Elsewhere, Min-jae caught up with his best friend, Joon-ho. Joon-ho smirked. So, what do you think of the famous scholarship student? Min-jae shrugged. She seems different. Different how? She didn't act impressed. Joon-ho laughed. Maybe she doesn't know who you are. Min-jae smiled. That would be refreshing. The following day, Artificial Intelligence 101. Professor Kim entered, carrying a thick folder. I hope all of you enjoyed your first day, because now the real work begins. He placed the folder on the desk. This semester's final project is worth 40% of your grade. The classroom immediately became quiet. You will complete it. In pairs, students began whispering. I hope I get someone hard-working. Please don't pair me with someone lazy. Professor Kim opened the folder. I selected the teams myself. He read through several names. Then, Oreoluwa Adebayo. Ore looked up. Paired with, a long pause, Kang Min-jae. The classroom exploded with reactions. What? The 2 smartest students? Professor is serious? Soo-jin looked stunned. Joon-ho leaned toward Min-jae. I knew you'd enjoy this. Min-jae simply smiled. Ore looked confused. She didn't understand why everyone was reacting so strongly. After class, Ore met Min-jae in the university library. She arrived exactly on time. 5 minutes passed. 10, 15. Just as she stood to leave, Min-jae walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I'm sorry. I lost track of time." Ore folded her arms. "In Nigeria, we call this being late." Min-jae blinked, then laughed. "I deserved that." He handed her one of the coffees. "Peace offering?" Ore accepted it. Only this once. They sat across from each other and began discussing ideas. Within minutes, they realized something. They challenged each other constantly. "If we design the AI this way," Min-jae began. Ore interrupted gently. "It won't work for multilingual students." He paused. "Explain." She opened her laptop and quickly drew a simple flowchart. Min-jae studied it carefully. After a few moments, he smiled. "You're right." Ore looked surprised. "You admit when you're wrong?" "Of course. The best ideas matter more than my ego." For the first time, Ore smiled at him. "Maybe this partnership won't be so bad." Across the library, Soo-jin watched them. Her expression hardened. She had never seen Min-jae smile so easily. For years, she had admired him from a distance. Yet this new student had captured his attention in less than a week. She quietly closed her notebook. This is just the beginning. That evening, Yena burst into the dorm room, carrying several grocery bags. "I found plantains," Ore laughed. "No way!" "I had to visit 3 international markets." She proudly held them up like a trophy. "Tonight, we're making Nigerian food." 2 hours later, the dormitory kitchen was filled with the aroma of jollof rice, fried chicken, and sweet fried plantain. Yena took her first bite. She closed her eyes dramatically. "I've missed this." Ore laughed. "I knew you would." Just then, there was a knock at the kitchen door. Yena opened it. Standing outside were Min-jae and Joon-ho. Joon-ho rubbed the back of his neck. "We weren't spying, but whatever you're cooking smells amazing." Ore smiled. "Come in." Neither of them knew. That one shared meal would be the start of friendships and rivalries that would change all of their lives. Narrator. Some friendships begin with a handshake. Others begin with a plate of jollof rice. If you're enjoying this movie, don't forget to like, subscribe to Africora Studios, and comment below. Which meal would you choose? Nigerian jollof rice or Korean ramen? The smell of freshly cooked jollof rice filled the dormitory kitchen. Min-jae looked at the steaming plate in front of him. "So, this is the famous Nigerian food everyone talks about?" Ore smiled confidently. "It is. But don't say I didn't warn you." Joon-ho had already picked up his spoon. "If I die today, tell my mother I died happy." Everyone laughed. Min-jae took his first bite. For a second, he said nothing. Then his eyes widened. "This is actually incredible." Ore smiled proudly. "I told you." Yena pointed at the fried plantain. "Wait until you try that." Min-jae picked one up. He chewed slowly, then looked at Ore. "I think I understand why Yena talks about plantain every day." Yena raised both hands proudly. "I've been trying to tell everyone." Joon-ho laughed. "I think she's eaten more Nigerian food than Korean food this month." The room exploded with laughter. For the first time since arriving in Korea, Ore truly felt at home. Over the following weeks, the AI project consumed almost every free hour. Ore and Min-jae became known across campus as the perfect team. Whenever students walked past the AI laboratory, they would see the same scene. Ore writing complex algorithms on the whiteboard, Min-jae testing them on his laptop. They argued, they laughed, they challenged each other. Every disagreement made the project stronger. One afternoon, Professor Kim entered the laboratory quietly. He watched them for several minutes without saying a word. Finally, he smiled. "You two remind me of great research partners." Ore looked embarrassed. "We still have a lot to improve." Professor Kim nodded. "That's exactly why you'll succeed." Not everyone shared his enthusiasm. Across campus, Soo-jin sat alone beneath a maple tree. She stared at photos on her phone. One picture showed Min-jae laughing. Another showed him walking beside Ore. She sighed. "I've known him for 3 years, and I've never seen him smile like that." Just then, a student approached. "You still like him?" Soo-jin looked away. "I don't know anymore." The student smiled knowingly. "No, you do." Meanwhile, the university announced the National AI Innovation Challenge. Every AI department in the country would compete. The winning team would receive a 50 million won research grant, a paid internship at Kang Tech Industries, a chance to present their project before international technology companies. The entire campus buzzed with excitement. Professor Kim gathered the class. "I've already chosen the team representing Hanul University." He looked toward Ore and Min-jae. "You two." The room erupted in applause, except for one person. Soo-jin quietly lowered her head. The competition preparations were intense. Morning classes, afternoon coding, evening presentations, late-night debugging sessions. Some nights, Ore accidentally fell asleep on her laptop. Min-jae gently placed his jacket over her shoulders before continuing the work himself. The next morning, Ore woke up. She noticed the jacket, then saw Min-jae asleep across the table, surrounded by coffee cups and pages of handwritten notes. She smiled softly. "You stayed all night." Joon-ho walked in carrying breakfast. "I told him to go home." He refused. "He said partners don't leave each other behind." Ore looked at Min-jae differently. Maybe there was more to him than confidence and wealth. As the weeks passed, their friendship slowly became something deeper. One rainy evening, they walked back from the library together beneath a single umbrella. Neither spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was comfortable. Finally, Min-jae asked, "Can I ask you something?" Ore nodded. "Were you ever afraid of coming to Korea?" She smiled. "Every single day." "Then why did you come?" She looked at the city lights. "Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding that your dream is bigger than your fear." Min-jae stopped walking. He looked at her with admiration. No one had ever answered him like that before. Unfortunately, someone else witnessed the moment, standing beneath another umbrella. Soo-jin watched from across the street. Her heart sank. She had lost him, or perhaps she had never really had him. A few days later, the AI laboratory was almost empty. Ore had stepped out briefly to print some documents. Min-jae was called away by Professor Kim. The room remained empty for just 2 minutes. The laboratory door slowly opened. A figure wearing a hoodie walked inside. Gloved hands removed a small flash drive from a pocket. The person plugged it into Ore's computer. Several confidential university files began copying onto her hard drive. 30 seconds later, the files were deleted from the flash drive. The person quietly placed the now empty drive beneath Ore's desk. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. The hooded figure slipped out just before Ore returned. She noticed nothing unusual. She simply continued working. The following morning, campus security entered the AI laboratory. One officer searched beneath the desks. Another examined the computers. Suddenly, "Sir, I found something." He held up the flash drive. The lead investigator frowned. Minutes later, Ora's phone vibrated. "Urgent. Report to the dean's office immediately." At that exact moment, Min-jae received the same message. Both looked at each other. Neither understood what was happening, but somewhere else on campus, a mysterious figure smiled. The plan had begun. Narrator, dramatic. One fake piece of evidence, one stolen reputation, and one impossible choice. Would the truth be discovered before Ore lost everything she had fought for? If you're enjoying this movie, don't forget to like, subscribe to Africora Studios, and comment below. Who do you think planted the flash drive? Do you trust Soo-jin, or is someone else pulling the strings? The dean's office was completely silent. Ore and Min-jae sat across from Dean Park, Professor Kim, and two campus security officers. Dean Park folded his hands. "Miss Oreoluwa Adebayo, Mr. Kang Min-jae, you have been called here because confidential research files belonging to Hanul University's AI Research Center were found copied onto your project computer." Ore froze. "What?" Professor Kim looked disappointed. "Campus security also recovered this flash drive beneath your desk." The officer placed it on the table. Ore stared at it. "I've never seen that before." The officer spoke calmly. "The computer logs show the files were copied while only your project account was logged in." Ore couldn't believe what she was hearing. "No, someone is framing us." Dean Park sighed. "Until this investigation is completed, your team is suspended from the National AI Innovation Challenge." The words hit Ore like a train. Months of sleepless nights, months of sacrifice, gone. Outside the dean's office, students were already whispering, "So the famous scholarship student cheated. I knew nobody could be that perfect. Maybe she wasn't as smart as everyone thought." Ore lowered her head. For the first time since arriving in Korea, she felt completely alone. Suddenly, someone grabbed her wrist. It was Min-jae. He looked directly into her eyes. "I believe you." Ore blinked. "You do? I've worked beside you every day. I know exactly who you are. If we don't believe each other, we've already lost." Ore nodded slowly. "Then let's prove the truth." That night, the four friends gathered in the dormitory. Yena slammed her hand on the table. "This doesn't make sense." Joon-ho nodded. "The timing is too perfect." Min-jae began writing on the whiteboard. "What do we actually know?" Ore thought carefully. "The lights flickered that night. I left my desk. My laptop had been moved." Joon-ho suddenly snapped his fingers. "The engineering club." Everyone looked at him. "They installed hallway security cameras after equipment kept disappearing." Min-jae smiled. "Let's check." The next morning, the engineering club president agreed to help. He opened the camera recordings. The hallway appeared on screen. Time moved forward. Ore entered the laboratory. Later, Min-jae left to meet Professor Kim. Ore stepped out to print documents. The hallway became empty. Then, a hooded figure quietly entered the laboratory. The room fell silent. Everyone watched. 30 seconds later, the same person walked back out. The engineering club president zoomed in. Just as the hood slipped back, everyone gasped. Han Soo-jin. Ore covered her mouth. "No," Yena whispered. "It was really her." An emergency disciplinary hearing was held that afternoon. Faculty members, security officers, student representatives, everyone watched the footage. Dean Park turned toward Soo-jin. "Do you deny this?" Tears slowly filled her eyes. For several seconds, she said nothing. Finally, she stood. "I did it." The room erupted. Professor Kim looked heartbroken. "Why?" Soo-jin wiped away her tears. "I spent 3 years becoming the best student in this university. Then one day, everyone forgot my name. They only talked about Ori." She looked toward Orr. "I wasn't jealous because you were smarter. I was jealous because you were kind. You worked harder than anyone, and people still loved you. I convinced myself that if you disappeared, my life would go back to normal." Orr quietly stood up. Everyone expected her to shout. Instead, she walked over to Soo-jin. "I accept your apology." The room became silent. "But accepting your apology doesn't erase your choices." Soo-jin burst into tears. "I'm sorry. I truly am." Dean Park announced the university's decision. Han Soo-jin was suspended from the competition and removed from the student council. Orr and Min-jae were fully cleared. 1 week later, the National AI Innovation Challenge began. More than 30 universities from across South Korea gathered in one convention center. Television cameras, technology companies, international judges. The atmosphere was electric. Professor Kim smiled. "Remember, you aren't here because you're lucky. You're here because you earned it." Ore smiled confidently. "We won't let you down." Their presentation began. Ore demonstrated how the AI could personalize education for students from different countries and learning backgrounds. The judges leaned forward. One judge smiled. "This could change online education." Min-jae explained the system architecture. Every question was answered with confidence. The audience applauded louder with each demonstration. Finally, the chief judge walked onto the stage holding an envelope. "First place." A long pause. "Hanul University." The auditorium exploded. Yena screamed. Joon-ho jumped onto the stage. Professor Kim laughed proudly. Orr covered her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. She remembered every early morning, every failure, every sacrifice, every moment she almost gave up. It had all led here. After the ceremony, Chairman Kang Hyun-woo approached Orr. "So, you're the young woman who changed my son's life." Orr bowed politely. "It's an honor to meet you, sir." He smiled warmly. "My son used to believe intelligence was enough. You taught him that humility, teamwork, and compassion matter just as much." He handed her an elegant envelope. "I'd like to offer you a paid internship at Kang Tech Industries." Ore looked inside. Her hands trembled. This was the opportunity she had dreamed about for years. "Thank you. I'll work as hard as I possibly can." Graduation arrived months later. Students filled the campus one last time. Caps flew into the air. Laughter echoed across the courtyard. Orr spotted her family in the crowd. Her mother hugged her tightly. "We're proud of you." Her father smiled. "You left Nigeria chasing a dream. And today, you've proven that dreams have no borders." As everyone prepared to leave, Min-jae caught up with Ore beneath the cherry blossom trees. "So, what happens now?" Ore smiled. "I'll continue building AI that helps people." "And you?" He laughed. "I was hoping we'd build something together." Ore raised an eyebrow. "A company?" He smiled. "A future." Ore looked at him for a long moment. Then, she smiled. I'd like that. Two friends, two dreamers, walking toward a future neither of them could have imagined. People will always judge you before they know your story. Some will doubt you because of where you come from. Others will fear your success. But if you stay true to your values, work hard, and refuse to give up, your actions will always speak louder than their opinions. This wasn't just the story of a Nigerian girl who won a scholarship. It was the story of courage, friendship, forgiveness, and the belief that dreams have no borders. If this movie touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Africora Studios. Comment below. What was your favorite moment, and which character would you like to see return in another story? New African Korean stories every week. See you in the next movie.